Hey everybody, welcome back. So today I am going to talk about my experience with taking the old car out back there. I wanted to make a video, just a ride along video, doing some wide open throttle pulls, and I'll post a couple little clips of it, but it went really terribly. So to start with, I feel like I found the problem. And it's something I kind of wanted to share with everybody and talk about, because I went on the internet and there's really not a lot of information about it. It took me a long time to find any kind of information. So we'll dive right into it. Fuel regulators and basically referencing them. So when you set up your LS engine, you set it up to 43 PSI or 60 PSI whenever you do your initial setup. So the problem I was facing is that I used to have a turbo on this car and a blow-through carburetor setup. So I knew about fuel referencing and I knew the importance of it. So on a carburetor, you have your fuel sitting in the bowl and then your jets. And then as soon as you get any kind of boost pressure in the carburetor, you're pushing against that fuel trying to come in. Whereas EFI kind of is the same concept, but not the same. So I spoke to a bunch of people on different forums. When I originally had this set up with my LT4 supercharger off of the Corvette, I had 3 boost lines running in the car. I had one going to a manual boost gauge in the car. I had one going to the bypass valve, and I had the other one running to what was it? Just manifold vacuum. So it was going into the manifold, teed off, running to the bypass, and the other one was running to a boost gauge. So for the longest time, I had this thing running at 50 PSI of fuel pressure, and I didn't have the fuel pressure regulator referenced at all. So when I rebuilt the engine, I'm like, I should probably do this properly. And then I went on a bunch of forums and couldn't really find that much information. And then I went on Facebook to a bunch of groups that I'm a part of and talked to them, and I said, hey, does anybody know the importance of fuel pressure regulator referencing for a supercharged application? And nobody really answered me specifically. The only real answers I got was, any boosted application should be referenced. If you're boosting your application, you should reference it. So what does that mean? Well, obviously it means what it means. You put your manifold pressure line on your fuel regulator so that it knows to go up or down with fuel pressure. Now, with turbos, on the Terminator X setup, you have the option, you have you go in your toolbox and then you can add the input where you can have the Holley wastegate, where you have boost control, and it's all controlled by the computer. The supercharger application doesn't have any of that. So I needed to find out, is there a setting that the computer knows whenever the car is under vacuum, fuel pressure drops. And then when it's in boost, the fuel pressure goes up. And I'm like, how do I tune for this accordingly? And I found little to no information about it. Most people just told me that, well, you got to sit there and you got to go out, and then anytime you're in vacuum, you have to add a pile of fuel. And I'm just like, wow, this is throughout the whole friggin' throttle band, there's a lot of times when, it's in boost, in vacuum, up and down, up and down. There's so many different variances where I'd have to sit there, and I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. So I came across this article on the Holley forum, and it has nothing to do with superchargers or turboing, because if you type that in on Google, you won't find much of anything. But what I did find was, and this is a real good piece of information, it's titled Use of Holley HP EFI Without Vacuum or Boost Reference to Pressure Regulator. So I feel like this is where I needed to be, and this is what I needed to learn. So basically, in a nutshell, I'm going to post a video. I'll post a video right now of what the car was doing, and you'll see in the video I tried to do a pull and it just fell flat on its face. And then I tried to do another pull and same thing. It revved up a little higher, but the fuel pressure, what happens is the fuel pressure just drops because I'm in vacuum. I'm at like 20 PSI. And then that flop over, when you just jam on it, it goes into boost right away. It's just such a spike that the computer was completely lost. So I'll show you that now. And as you can see, there it is. It's just like everything falls flat on its face. The boost continues to climb, but the RPM doesn't. It's really strange. So anyways, moving on, I wanted to find out what the issue is. So as the article says, I've learned about late model LS engines using returnless fuel systems that don't have vacuum boost reference signal going to the fuel pressure regulator. How would a Holley EFI ECU account for this? Can I use a map sensor input to calculate pressure differential to adjust fuel injector pulse width? And if I use a returnless system, is there a certain setting I need to choose into setting it up in the software? So that's what I've been looking for, this certain setting. You know, I'm like, there's got to be a setting somewhere where I can set this up. And then one of the administrators from Holley answered back, and this was the answer I was looking for, is that fuel flow is only calculated at the base system pressure with your key on, engine off. So therefore, vacuum and boost are not considered in fuel flow calculation by the ECU, partially because vacuum doesn't affect system pressure exactly in a 1-to-1 ratio. In all those instances, with a rising rate in the regulator, no changes are required in a returnless system. Input actual fuel system pressure if it's a return system style, and then the fuel pressure regulator will be adjusted primarily by your target air fuel ratio, which actually plays more of an important role in the engine. So in English, basically the ECU, if you have a boosted application like mine with a supercharger, you basically punch in the system pressure you want, and the computer will see that the manifold pressure is through the roof with boost. So, and then it accounts for that not by rising the fuel pressure up, but by adjusting the pulse of the injector to allow more fuel to go in the engine. So the injector is just open longer and gives the correct air fuel ratio to the engine, from what I understand. So in a nutshell, after all the reading and research I've been doing, I found out that in a supercharged application, the fuel pressure regulator, yes, it is important to reference it, but if you do reference it, you have to do a whole lot more work tuning. Whereas if you just leave it off, set your fuel pressure, the computer will do the grunt of the work for you. And as long as you know that you have your air target fuel ratio perfect, and you set in the computer that your timing is to, you know, go down a degree with every pound of boost, and all that is okay, it seems to not be an issue. Like, the only major issues I've been having currently is because I've been trying to rack my head around this whole fuel pressure regulator. So with that being said, I am going to do some more work on the car. I'm going to pull off that reference point, and I'm just going to put the fuel pressure at about 50 PSI because that's where I like to have it. That's where I know the fuel pump can supply enough fuel for the amount of horsepower I'm making, but also my injectors, they are high impedance. So as I turn up the fuel pressure, they become higher rated injector. So at 50 PSI, they're around 100-pound injector, which also is enough to support my horsepower level. So I'm gonna leave that like that. Also, I'm going to rip out the fuel tank, and I'm installing a much larger suction. I have 8 AN right now, but I'm bumping it up to a 10 because I feel like that might be an issue too. So might as well. But anyways, I hope that this was helpful. I really wanted to make a much longer, better video with more fun in the car, maybe doing some burnouts, some donuts, but it really wasn't the case. I was hoping to have, you know, nice pulls, see everything run properly for the first time. I've taken it out for a couple cruises, but I haven't really been hard on it. And the first time I tried to do a pull, it was just very disappointing, and I'm just pulling my hair trying to figure out this whole situation. But that's it. So if you plan on putting a supercharger on your LS application, just, unless you're planning on investing all the time in the world in your fuel table and adjusting fuel up and down with, you know, you literally have to sit there and record all your pulls, find out where it goes lean, where it goes rich, pull it in, pull it out with the vacuum and with the boost. And it's just sounds like more of a headache and a hassle than anything, especially if Holley's telling me that it runs fine without it. So that'll be the end of it. I'll try and post some more videos whenever I get all this done. I'll go out for another little rip and see what happens. But for now, that'll be the end. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Or if there's anything that I said that didn't make sense, or you'd like to educate me, I would be more than down to talk about it. So hit me up, let me know. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day. Cheers.